Hello Virgo, welcome to the Plaid Sheep Oracle. So for this reading, I got a new deck yesterday called the Oracle of the Hidden Worlds. It's the guidebook. And your card, fabulously, is this Insight card, which, right, is totally a combination of the Magician and the Hermit, who are both Virgo characters. The subtitle is Magical Tools, Writing, and Starcrafting. Oh, and it says Insight. And the number is 22. Which numerologically often is seen as sort of things coming together mentally before they come into being physically, right? Which is 33. So it seems like you're really coming into your own, Virgo. And I wasn't intending to read from the book, but I think I will a little bit. Perhaps we would do well to be like the wizard between the worlds, who draws down the energies of all that is above and somehow weaves it into this world below, combining all that is celestial with all that is terrestrial. In those moments when we connect truly, deeply, we can literally become the link between the worlds, and through us can flow a pure and clear energy, a wise energy which can guide and comfort and enlighten, a compassionate energy that can see beyond difference and find communion with those with whom we wish to share this remarkable world. And there's at the end of each entry, there's a little illumination statement which says, I am an instrument of the divine which pours through me and into the world. Full disclosure, I feel like this is definitely a reading for me. I have a Virgo South node. And it's going to be trined by this upcoming full moon in Scorpio, or actually I should say sextiled, and then trined by the sun. So Virgo, you certainly are, I think for most people, right? You're an earthy character. You're somebody to go to if something needs to get done. You are someone who, right, can be trusted to really, do the thing properly. And I think that these are wonderful traits. But you are now seeing the limitations of a strictly material view, if you've had one. I mean, you do have Mercury as your dispositor, so this mental element of imagination has always been there for you. But we live in a very material society. Those of us living in the modern Western world. And it's very easy to get caught up in that. That's what we see every day. That's what we learn as children. I mean, we do, right, encounter the physical, right? We see things, we experience things through our senses. But I think you're really beginning to break through that. You know, and you are, you know, I would think of Virgo, right, as a sign of integrity too. And a sign that values effort and working, right? Kind of similar to Capricorn. The Eight of Pentacles is a card that belongs to you. The 8, 9, and 10 of Pentacles. And it may be that you have felt in the past that to attempt magic, like actual magic, or manifesting, you know, sort of law of attraction kind of stuff, or you know, energy work, to kind of be, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a cheat, or you know, that it's kind of a betrayal in some way of this physical, of your body. Right, that somehow you're supposed to do things, if not the hard way, then kind of the long way, or the fully material way, right? And I think that you are beginning to, right, that you've come to the end of the usefulness of this philosophy. You know, our, right, societies are founded, right, kind of around a set of assumptions that we turn into beliefs. And one of those beliefs that's strong, right, we have a very materialist, not in the sense of consumerist, I mean, there is that, but materialist in that, right, that things, that it's matter that matters. Right, that yes, you could turn matter into energy and sort of vice versa, but really, right, matter is it. Right, if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. And you have come to the end of this, right, an end of the usefulness to this philosophy. It may have led you into interesting spaces at one time, but you're done with it. Because we have here the Witch of Fire. Right, she knows that what we see is not everything. That there is a whole other realm. And then there's the Six of Fire, which to me today feels like this sort of realization, right? Like the coming together. And it may be that it is in contemplation of your heart and of those things that, right, have always been outside the purview of science and materialism, right? Love, joy, grief, all of these sort of uncountable things. That your experience with this has led you to now see things differently. And I think you've been on a trip, a pilgrimage perhaps, to go see this goddess of fire. She is Baba Yaga here. She's got her little house on the chicken legs back here. But she is also this, right, this primal energy. The energies of nature, the energies we might meet in meditation. Numinous experience. And now that you've met her in some way, things are no longer the same. So there's this 9 of fire, which is like everything that you're taking away with you. All of this beautiful bounty that you're taking with you from your encounter with the goddess of fire. And all of this fire in general. And I don't know if maybe you've been doing fire ritual, or perhaps thinking about it. Maybe you've really been interested and entranced by fire, even if you haven't done fire ritual. You know, this full moon that's happening in Scorpio is happening on solar Beltane, when the sun comes to 15 degrees of Taurus, that midpoint between the equinox and the solstice. And fire is a big component, right, of Beltane. One of the traditions is to build a big bonfire. And couples would leap over the flames as a kind of commitment. Or you could leap over the flames with a wish. Right, as this summer energy rises. As all of the fruits and vegetables and all of that bounteous stuff ripens. Heading for that peak fire at the summer solstice. So this may be something for you to explore, Virgo, is your own connection to fire. And then we have the messenger of earth, and this is absolutely you. Here you are. You've got your reindeer. And you are about to leave the village. I mean, you're looking a little, there's a little anxiety there, a little trepidation, perhaps, of what's going to happen. Now, you're leaving the safe confines of a previous philosophy, of the old paradigm. And heading out. But you are determined. And we have the World card next as the underlying. An ending and a beginning. Then we have this 10 of Pentacles, which is so interesting. This 10 of Pentacles. right? It has this kind of like, it's almost like a robot body, and then this real self, right? The real self is breaking out of this confines of this old paradigm. Right? Seeing how what it seems like reality, right, isn't necessarily, right? Right? Is this a woman or a flock of birds that have just formed into a woman temporarily? What are we? And what is possible if we can, like, loosen our grip on this material reality, loosen our grip on how we think it works? And that, right, can lead us to your card, the Nine of Pentacles. Right, this Garden of Eden kind of image of, right, she's got this kind of butterfly thing going on behind her. I don't know if you can see. And she's got her red dress. And she's here, right? She is absolutely enjoying the physical. She has great respect and reverence for the physical. But she knows that the physical is also ethereal. That she doesn't have to be stuck in the mud, so to speak. Right? That things are not necessarily what they appear. And, one can see these stones as coming down, right, to the collector, but you could also see them as rising up. That this figure has brought all of these stones into the circle, right? She's got extra. And she's now releasing them. Turning matter into energy. In order to work with it differently. So you are on your way. Knight of Swords. Right? Determination, mental clarity, getting the mind in order. And that, right, it's the most difficult thing, isn't it? We all have habits of thought that go back perhaps a long way, and getting that in order. Right? But you are determined. And the devil is appearing here, right? Representative of all that is physical, but also representative of a subversive point of view. The adversary to the status quo. So, Eight of Cups. Now this says retreat, but I think, right, the Eight of Cups is about, I think it's, right, you are leaving behind that which, right, no longer is relevant to you. Beliefs and the emotional attachments, we can have We can have emotional investment in things remaining difficult. Right? I mean, it seems kind of strange, right, that we would want things to be difficult. But we may have emotional reasons for that. But you have discovered these things for yourself. And now you're going to just leave that stuff behind. You are having a united will. Your various emotional selves coming together. Right? The conscious you, the subconscious you, the soul you. All of those parts, right? The young you, the protector, the accountant, the adventurer, all of those parts moving forward in a united way. And that creates great strength. Right? The strength of internal coherence. The strength and power of alignment. And of course we have our Grail appearing. In alignment with the heart. With your own internal Grail. So the devil reappears here. Again, I think now fully as, right, the representative of all that is physical. And you are breaking out of the idea that only physical force, right, that only Newtonian ideas can lead you through the world. Now this row here, death sits at the center. Transformation. Moving on. Seeing things in a completely new way. And the things that you're seeing in a new way are this, right, this Three of Pentacles, how things come together, how things come into being. And then the Seven, right, how do you get results? You know, seeing the harvest. And how much time necessarily it may take to get from one to the other. And that can be, you know, things that you want in your life. It can be your physical health. It can be your business. How you get from point A to point B, right? Like what it means, right? What creation means, what collaboration means, and how you get to this end result are changing. So the advice, right, is fairly straightforward. We have here the Lady of the Lake. And I think of her, right, she's sort of a Virgo character too. It says absolute truth, courage, self-respect, responsibility. Right, keeping clear in your mind. Taking yourself back to the new way whenever the old paradigm wants to show up. believing in yourself, even if what you think is true is completely different from everybody else, right? Everybody else thinks you should, I don't know, buy life insurance. But you just don't think so. You don't believe that it's necessary for you. Or, maybe it's, right, like having a retirement account, or getting a 401k, or, right, doing any of those things that we're supposed to do, right? You can go online and, it'll tell you how much savings you need to have, if, depending on when you want to retire. All right, these are things we learn that we take for granted as being true. And maybe you know for yourself that this is not true. And so you're not going to do it. So holding that line for yourself, even if everybody around you thinks you're crazy, you're not. Inner authority. And there, right, whenever the goblin shows up, right, he's a sign that right, your thoughts have strayed perhaps back into the old paradigm. He's a warning signal, right? You can thank him, pat him on the head, give him a cookie, send him back. Thank him. Right? He's noticed that you were straying somewhere. I mean, right? Like maybe you've been reading too many news stories or spending too much time scrolling through something. Maybe you're tired and haven't gotten enough sleep, or maybe you put off eating lunch. And you've sort of strayed off the path. That's right. He's not someone to be hated or maligned or anything else. He's just a signal to reset. And then, of course, right, there's communication with yourself, with all of your parts. Right, that you check in, right, with your heart. You give your other parts a chance to speak. You don't just wall them off. All right, the protector has a purpose. You don't have to believe what they say, but you can give them, right, the opportunity to speak. Keep everybody united with you. Keep the channels of communication open with all of yourself, with your wider self, your little kid, your adventurer. Keeping the lines of communication open. And then, of course, right, keeping a view on the bigger picture. You are totally good at the details, Virgo, we know. You're good at the particular. But you also need to keep, right, a higher view of you on the big picture. So you don't get too wrapped up. Too tangled. But I think you totally got this, Virgo. I think you are entering a whole new phase of your life. where you're actually sort of being less hermit and more magician. I mean, the hermit has his place, right? He's part of that, right, keeping your own counsel and knowing when to, you know, perhaps isolate yourself from too much outer noise to get clear. But I think that the idea, right, of really needing to isolate is dissipating. That you are becoming more of the magician. Really learning how to use all the elements. Not just earth and air, but also fire and water. Right? Like the Lady of the Lake. Like the goddess of fire. You're finding your path to your magic. And I don't know how many of you here watching this are actually magicians or witches or magic users in the literal sense of that. I think maybe there's a few. And I think that even if you haven't been, maybe you're becoming more interested in that. And exploring the possibilities. And maybe even finding your own particular way to do it that isn't like anybody else's. Right? I think, you know, magic evolves like other things. You know, that we don't necessarily have to do what was done 1,000 years ago. Or even 100 years ago. That we can receive direct revelation about how we can proceed. So I'm excited for you, Virgo. For all the new things you're going to encounter, the new experiences you will have. For what you will bring into being through magic. And I wish you the very best, Virgo. And I will see you next time. So long.